Hello dear students, this is Sushma Singh from Booster Classes, and today we shall be doing the comprehensive study of an extremely amusing yet appealing story from First Flight book of Standard 10 CBSE. The title of this interesting story is A Letter to God, written by a prominent Mexican writer, G.L. Fuentes. Hope you all are enjoying my classes. So students, what are you waiting for? Make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel for more all-inclusive study materials. In this session, I'm going to give you the core of this short story in an extremely coherent and lucid manner so that you can apprehend with ease the setting of the story, its plot, climax, and theme. And we shall also be doing character sketches and comprehension check at the end. But before moving on to the storyline, let me give you the overview of the story, which is full of surprising twists. The story A Letter to God revolves around the idea of having unwavering belief in something. The story is set in a Latin American country. Lencho, the farmer, who is the protagonist of the story, has the infinite faith in God, so he appeals to God for financial help through a letter after discovering his entire crop yield destroyed by a devastating hailstorm. Although his wishes get fulfilled partially, if not completely, he is ungrateful in the end and questions the kindness and generosity of the post office employees who actually helped him with the money in the name of God. Thus, the story concludes in a very ironic situation, as well as it questions the popular belief that goodness is always rewarded. Well, now, with the help of a story map, I shall make you comprehend the storyline of this appealing story. We all know the story has five important elements like setting, plot, climax, characters, and theme. Now, one by one, we shall discuss all the elements of the story. So, first and foremost, let's take a look at the setting of this interesting story. Setting is actually the time and place a story takes place. The setting of this story is remotely talking about a house which is singled out in the entire valley and is situated on the peak of a small hill. A river and ripe cornfield can be seen from height, and we are introduced to a poor, hard-working farmer named Lencho. Throughout the morning, Lencho did nothing but kept gazing at the sky towards the northeast in search of clouds, and almost at the time of dinner, he predicted that there would be rain, which his field needed desperately in order to make his harvest good, ensuring food for his family and money for the rest of the year. Proceeding further, we shall now comprehend its plot, which is nothing but a series of events that make up a story. And for your better understanding, I have divided the plot of the story into five logical series of events. The first event of the plot is about the effect of rain on Lencho and his field. Lencho was very happy and satisfied when there was a downpour. He went out to feel the rain on his body. He was hopeful of a great and good harvest, and he felt proud to see his cornfield because the rain made his fields look beautiful and promising. He even compared the raindrops to the new silver coins. Rancho called the big raindrops 10-cent pieces and the small ones 5-cent, as the raindrops actually meant a good harvest to him, and this good harvest would bring him good amount of money and fortune for his family. Well, as the plot progresses, here we shall talk about how terrible the aftermath of the calamity was. Lencho's happiness was short-lived, and it turned to sorrow and misery when the rain took a turn for the worse, transforming into a hailstorm which covered the field with a layer of snow. And in no time, it almost ruined his crops. The rain proved to be more devastating than even crop destroying insects. And with all the crops destroyed, Lencho and his family were on the verge of utter poverty and starvation. The next order of the event is, why did Lencho, after all, write a letter to the Almighty? This was because despite his misfortune, Lencho's faith in God remained firm and unshaken. He decided to write to God seeking financial help, asking for 100 pesos, which he required to sow his field again and to feed his family until the new crop came. God's help was only one hope for him. Moreover, Lencho did not have any friends or neighbor to help him, because we already know his house was the only one on the top of a small hill. Now, this action also proves his unwavering conviction that God will definitely and surely help him. Now, let us see that what happened when the postmaster received his letter. On seeing Lencho's letter to God, the postmaster was initially amused because he never thought, he couldn't believe his eyes that somebody has written a letter to God. But later on, he was moved by Lencho's strong faith in God. And in order to keep his trust in the Almighty intact, he decided to answer his letter. He, being generous, started collecting money from his employees and friends. He himself gave a part of his salary for this act of charity. And he put all the collected amount, that was almost 70 pesos, in an envelope, enclosing a letter with it carrying just a single word, God, as a signature. Now, students, here we come to the turning point of the story. I mean, the climax of the story. That what happened when Lencho received the letter. So, on receiving the letter from God, Lencho was neither grateful nor displayed any sign of surprise, because he was confident enough that God would send money and help him out. When Lencho received a portion of money, that is 70 pesos instead of 100 peso, he was literally angry, and he believed that postman had taken some of the money. Now, student, finally we have come to the following action of the plot, that is Lencho's reaction on receiving the letter. Lencho was sure that God could neither have made a mistake nor denied him what he had asked for. He once again wrote a letter to God, and in this letter he had accused the postmaster and his employees of being bunch of crooks and deceitful, who had robbed him of 30 pesos according to him. So he had requested God to send him the rest amount in some ways other than through the post office. Now, it was, student, this is very ironical that people who had helped Lencho, he had actually suspected them. His blind faith in God did not let Lencho see the generosity of the postmaster and his employees. Now, with this, we have almost covered the three important elements of the story, that is the setting, the plot, and the climax. Now, let's take a look at the two main characters who we are already introduced to. Lencho, who is the protagonist, and he was a poor farmer, diligent as he knew his field closely and worked as an ox. He was a simple and innocent man who had deep faith in the Almighty. This shows that he was a religious man. His greediness was reflected when he was angry on not receiving full amount of money. Whereas postmaster was truly sympathetic, honest, kind, and generous man. He went out of his way to help Lencho economically as well as religiously. Now, talking about the theme of the story, the main message imparted through this story is that the immense power in man's innocent and unwavering in faith in God. Strong faith can move mountains and give man the spiritual strength to face the challenges of life and perform impossible tasks. So, even if one do not achieve the desired result, one should never lose faith and should believe that their problems would be solved in due course of time. So, we can conclude that though the story was a simple one, but definitely with a strong message about the value of deep faith in God. And of course, the simplicity of Lencho has created number of humors in the story. I'm pretty sure that you all must have got the in-depth explanation of this story. So here are a few important questions from the chapter for your comprehension check. Taking help from the explanation which I have just given to you, try to solve them and deepen your understanding. Keep watching to get the detailed analysis of other chapters too. Thank you.